Hi everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Connection. I'm your host, Donna Wilberg. Today we are talking with a holistic health expert and author, Linda Lee, who's going to be sharing her book, The Power and Light That Is You. Welcome, Linda.
Well, thank you, Donna. Thank you so much for having me
It's
today.
wonderful to have you on. And this, I've browsed through this book, and it's a powerhouse. It's well needed, and thank you for writing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, let's start at the beginning, because that's where we like to begin our show. How did you happen to get into this kind of frame of mind?
I was called into it. It was an agreement somehow that I was to do this work. And like many of us who get in the holistic field, we get into it because something's happened to us or someone that we care about. And for me, it was someone that I cared about. My paternal grandfather passed away when I was about 11 years old. And it was pretty traumatic. Gosh, back then, what they would do when they found cancer is they would cut into the body because they thought that was the quickest way to do it. Yeah. And of course, they found out very quickly that spread it through the entire body. Yeah. So we found out, from the time we found out he was in a little bit of pain until the time he passed, it was a short 6 months. And as a child, when you experience pain all around you very quickly, and it makes an impact. And when you see your big, strong daddy put his head in his hands and sob because he just lost his father that was my age at this time, which is really young, I can tell you, it makes an impression.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And I remember right after the funeral, I went in and I just wanted some quiet time, and the seeds were planted. The first little thing that came in, and actually when you are in a household full of 5 or 6 siblings, it's really hard to get quiet time.
Yeah.
And somehow it was really, really quiet, and 3 little thoughts came into my mind. One was, what caused this disease? Because it was traumatic. And the other thing was, oh my gosh, really, who cares what causes it, but what would prevent it? And then the last thing was, these are really scary thoughts for me at 11 years old. And my heart started racing, and I just felt myself, having to talk myself out of it. It was like, well, these are my thoughts, so they must be okay.
Well, it is very fearful for a child to lose, someone in the family so young. And at that age, maybe more now because it's more prominent, but going back, the people that I knew that died of cancer, it was more of a rarity. It wasn't something that, was happening to everybody. It was like, it was just, I don't know, it's always devastating, but it seemed like it was, it came on so sudden. And because you weren't aware of what it was, it happened so fast, and boom, they were gone.
Yes.
And now what? So now there's more research and stuff that's been done on it, but I can imagine, what an impact. So what happened then? What did you, you're 11 years old, how did you proceed from there?
Well, my goodness, there was no plan, let me tell you. However, when the universe has a plan for you, it literally unfolds before you. Yeah. And I started, my grandmother was quarter Cherokee, so first of all, we had herbs all around, and I was exposed to yoga by the time I was 16. I just, out of curiosity and the love of preventative health, I found myself in the health food industry. For within 10 years of that, I was full-time in the health food industry. Got an amazing education. That first little question about what caused it, I began to study herbs and supplements, and got my bachelor's in nutrition, and many other modalities I really studied, and in the meantime learned about preventative as well. And my work has just evolved from there. And then the third question, that deep inner mind, back in the mid-90s, I started getting little promptings, you need to think about, I was getting hypnotherapy, things around the mind were coming up. I go, no, because I had my own misconceptions about it. And it wasn't until 2010 that the third part of this leg came into fruition. And it's opened up a world beyond I can even imagine telling you right now.
Oh.
So,
well, in the book you talk about macroism,
the macrocosm and the microcosm.
So,
yes.
Why don't you go into detail about that?
Well, what's interesting is there was a fellow named Carl Sagan in the early 80s that was on television a lot, a show called The Cosmos. And I remember one night I thought, because he talked about black holes and all of that, and I can tell you, he gave me a really deep understanding of the astronomy from the heart, which I was never interested in before. And I remember thinking that night, we have the ability to choose. If we want to be like that black hole and, really just go into the darkness and a whole nother realm with our life, which, many people do. They lose hope, they find themselves on medications, they get stuck in the black hole somehow. Or we have the choice to shine like the brightest star that we can think of. And for me, most of us know that brightest star is our sun. And so I thought right then and there, of course, I want to be like the brightest star. I mean, it was just, I bet you're choosing right now if you haven't chosen already. So the microcosm, we've been shown that the cosmos, and they've taken photos of the cosmos, and they've taken pictures of our brain cells, and they're almost identical. So if you put them side by side, you can hardly tell the difference. And then I was exposed to a fellow in the early part of this century named Dr. Masaru Emoto. Yes, he did studies of water. And when you think about it, our planet is 70% water, give or take, and so are our bodies, give or take, depending on what time of life we're in. And the studies that he did show that, and you can't find too many negative ones because he knew the power of those negative thoughts and words. So you can find some, but they're very dingy yellow and disjointed. And the beautiful words that we love, or like love or gratitude or thankfulness, are all like snowflakes. They're pristine and they're beautifully symmetrical, and some even have gold hues. And so when we think about the words and the thoughts that we have within our body, if they crystallize and take shape, like the water that Dr. Masaru did, then that would stand to reason that we would start demonstrating different attributes in our body, such as imbalance or wonderful health.
And they're proving more and more. They're doing studies about this, and they're proving that there is such a thing as mind over matter. That you can change the way you feel.
Absolutely.
You have that power. And you put it into more of a formula so people can actually follow step by step to improve this for their own health and well-being. I think that's so cool. So you talk about the 4 keys of creating all we desire. Do you want to talk about those?
First of all, it's just an awareness about what we want to make a change about. And then the next thing is to get really clear about it. And then we want to take action, because what good is it if we don't do anything about it? And the last thing is to really trust ourselves and to believe in ourselves and step away from the fear. Fear is our biggest enemy, and it's all an illusion. It's a thought in our mind that we've chosen to believe is bigger than us.
Yeah.
And all we need to do is step away from it.
What a great idea. We have to just keep reminding ourselves to do that. Step away from the negative. So you've kind of incorporated not only what we put into our bodies, but what we put into our minds, and kind of work that into kind of a combination, kind of a recipe for good health.
Yes, yes. I honestly incorporate all of my years of studies when I work with my clients one-on-one. They get a holistic view. I currently work with women who struggle with panic, and I moved into that because there's such a great need. 42 million people suffer with it, and 72% of those are female. And so I give them as much as they can take and deal with at that time, or as little. And sometimes just a few things can make the biggest of differences in people's lives. So I've even gone into, I've worked with the environment too, because I was able to realize in my naturopathic work that I could get them in balance in my office setting, but then if you go home to disorganized or chaotic energy or unbalanced relationships, that you're out of balance again. So there's a whole realm of awareness that I bring to my clients. Sometimes it's just one thing, sometimes it's a few things.
Well, there's a lot to it, and like you said, all the different elements, your environment, your thinking, what you're putting in your body and whatnot, does make a lot of difference. What are you finding? So, being that cancer was your focus.
You would think that would be my my specialty, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But when you look at the underlying belief systems that we have and thought patterns, lifestyles, all of that, it's not only cancer that is caused by our belief systems. 99.9% of our illness is how we're taught to be in life. If you look at the medical system, they will tell you that 87% of your risk factor, it comes from your family. Well, it's just not because it's genetic. That's a small portion of it. The 87% comes from lifestyle, how you were taught to believe, how you were taught to live your life, how you eat, all of these environmental issues. We don't have to buy into dis-ease as it is laid out for us. Otherwise, I would have it, right? My whole family, I had several members of my family with cancer. So, and some of them believe that if that family member had it, then I will have it as well. And when you adopt that way of thinking, that is when you create it. Remember, that 70% water is demonstrating what we're feeding our mind day in, day out, moment by moment.
That makes a whole lot of sense. It really, really does. So, do you have specific techniques that you can talk about to accomplish these goals? What can we do to be more mindful and more proactive in making this work for us?
What I really want your viewers to know is that we are the gatekeepers of what we think. Many of us are on automatic all the time. And if you think about it and you know that most of your programming was done by the age of 5, 50% of our download, so to speak, was done by the age of 5, another 30% by the age of 8. So most of us are around 8 years old, 5 to 8 years old, still trying to make sense of this world in mature minds with old habit and belief patterns. So when we start getting conscious, we are the guardians, we are the gatekeepers. And when that old voice comes up and says, "You can't do that. No, this is all that you're going to have in life. This is who you are. There's nothing more for you," whether it's disease or your lot as far as your work. Are you living your purpose, or are you doing what somebody else expects you to do? Then you're on automatic, and it's time to say, "Wait a minute. where's my voice in this? Because normally, most of the voices we hear in our head are someone else's and other expectations. So a quick little, I'm going to give you a self-hypnosis little thing you can do really quickly every day, and it's called Release the Thought. And it's done between awake and asleep, that place where you can hear the dog out there barking, but he's not keeping you awake. You go, okay, there he is. So it's between awake and asleep, and most of us have experienced it at least twice a day, waking up and going to sleep. And you drop a thought in that is going to be supportive of what you're trying to accomplish. So for instance, I am happy and joyful now. And you just say it once, drop it in when you're going to sleep, and then the subconscious takes over and does whatever it needs to do to bring that happiness and joyfulness into your life. And you just do it for as many nights as possible till all of a sudden you wake up one day and go, wow, I am happy and joyful. The subconscious will support you in that. It's like that saying, the universe conspires to support us when we start moving in that direction. We're connected to the universe, the source, and it's through the subconscious mind, which goes to the higher source. So we just have to start feeding ourselves higher levels of thinking and not accepting the old voice that has got us stuck and keeping us, in the box that we've created.
Plus, in addition to what you said about you're kind of planting the seeds before you go to bed, you're also changing the structure of the water.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I know at the end of the day when you're laying in bed, it seems like that flood of the preview of the last 24 hours comes flooding into your brain, and either you have the capability of letting it go, or it keeps you up half the night. So that's a good suggestion to do that positive affirmation.
And that's a beautiful practice, Donna, to preview that day. Because we stand in judgment of ourselves day in and day out. We're worse on ourselves than anybody. We would never talk to our friend the way we talk to us. And what if we changed how we thought when we previewed that? As opposed to judgment, maybe we were saying, wow, what lesson was there for me to learn in that? And then releasing it. Because as we judge ourselves, it drops in the subconscious, and it just drops in deeper, and it allows us to stay stuck in it. But instead of allowing it to process through and learning the lessons, and that's what life is about. We're just here to learn. We're not here to judge. I mean, there was a great enlightened being that said, judge not lest ye be judged. So we're off the hook with that, but we haven't lived it. And it's time to stop judging ourselves and letting it go. That's all fear-based. Another great source is the Course in Miracles, who simply says, if it doesn't feel like love and joy and happiness, those things we all love, then it's all fear. And we all know what that feels like. So make a choice. What do you want in life? Do you want to be this, or do you want to be that? We can't have them both. The mind can only think one thing at a time, despite popular belief. So that multitasking doesn't really work. So let's choose happiness and joy and unconditional love for ourselves as well as the world. Just think what kind of change we can make when we change. Wayne Dyer says it, when we change the way we look at things, everything out here changes. And that's how we shift this planet. It's one person at a time, lighting, the match and passing it on and showing greater light in this world.
I agree. Wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
But it's so true, because you can feel, when you're around someone who's negative, you feel their negativity.
Absolutely.
And it does have an effect on yours. So it's almost like that, it transfers.
Exactly.
Jumps over the, whatever that is.
It does. And we have a choice at that moment. We always have a choice to take it on and get in the muck with them, or we can say, oh, that's interesting, and rise above it. And just let it go. That is something they're processing, but you will allow them to see that there's another way. And if you get, that's where, what is it, sympathy versus empathy comes in. If you're in sympathy with them, you're really in it with them. But if you can step out of it and be more empathetic and compassionate, you allow them to process, and then you give them a place to go beyond that and show them, yes, you can move through that.
Yeah. You know what I liked that you said about being a shiny star? You said, be your shiny star, you know, and if people around you don't like it, hand them some sunglasses, you know?
Yes.
That's what I thought that was beautifully put.
It is.
Because, you know, you also stated that we have a tendency to kind of downplay our sunshine, you know, to pull the shades down because we don't want to make other people feel bad or whatever, but that's not really living our authentic self.
It's not. And Marianne Williamson, that was actually her quote, and my goodness, who are we serving if we all hold back? We are here to be our best self. Why else are we here, honestly? And that's the fear. Somebody has told us, you know, well, in my case, it was children should be seen and not heard. And we come from imperfection, yet I feel that we are so blessed to be the first generations to be out of survival mode. My parents were children of the Depression. It was survival. And so here the 60s come along and the 70s. We can ask new questions about how we want to live our life. And so let's bless our parents and our grandparents for all that they have taught us, and instead of what they've burdened us with to go through life, and stop blaming them and start saying, oh, thank you, because I wouldn't be who I am without all of that, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they didn't know what they don't know, but now we can start stepping out of the box. And I can tell you, when you start stepping out of that little box that you've created for yourself, all the fun is over there. I can tell you that.
That's where I'm headed. Well, we're almost out of time. So would you like to give your information, please?
Yes. My name is Linda Lee, as you know, and I am a speaker, author, and also a clinical hypnotherapist. And I have one-on-one work that you can contact me about, or right now I am offering an amazing group coaching program, 9 steps to really getting your purpose in life, creating the intention, moving into integrity, understanding the doubt we have and moving beyond it. And I'm offering that at a really unbelievable price right now, so please get in touch with me. You have my number, my website, all of that. Please contact me. Thank you.
Super.
Yes.
That sounds wonderful, Linda. And we have some information about the Paranormal Connection.
The Paranormal Connection airs the first and third Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Our companion show, Story Connection, airs the second and fourth Thursdays of each month. Each episode repeats the following Friday at 1:30 p.m. and Saturday at 5:30 a.m. Watch these programs online at the same air times by going to accesssacramento.org and clicking Watch 17. In the Sacramento region, you can see us on Comcast Channel 17 and on AT&T Channel 99. You can find previously aired shows on the Paranormal Connection YouTube channel. For information on upcoming shows and previous Paranormal Connection guests, go to paranormalconnectiontv.blogspot.com. You can contact us at paranormalconnectiontv@gmail.com. And don't forget, find us on Facebook, become a friend, and become a fan.
Well, in just the little fraction of time we have left, Linda, do you have anything else coming up? Do you have any more books on the burner? Any projects you want to talk about?
Just a fun little books coming out, but it's a little different than this. So it's just my little recipe book for healthy cosmetics and all of that. But really what's going on right now is I am putting together an amazing mastermind for women where we can really dive deep. It's for an exclusive group of women that really want to support one another and want to travel to amazing places so that they can really fully be empowered, no matter what is going on in their life, and be completely supported in that.
That's wonderful. Well, I wish you a lot of luck. I wish you good things for your book.
Thank you so much.
It's a really good read, and I encourage everybody out there, pick up a copy of The Power and Light That Is You, because you're going to have steps that you could follow, choices to make, and it's an easy read. So it's wonderful. And thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing it with us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you to my fabulous crew. I love you guys. Everybody came out to volunteer today, and there's so many today. I don't think I'd get through everybody's names, but you know who you are, and I appreciate you to no end. Without you, this would not be possible. So I hope everybody out there watching the show truly appreciates what volunteers can do when they put their heads together. So thank you, and thanks for watching the show. Good night.